إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهديه الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله اللهم صل وسلم وبارك عليه وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. أما بعد, we'll talk first inshallah briefly about the rights of people in our life that we're supposed to observe and to live our life fulfilling these rights, because this is the covenant that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala took from us, and that is to be worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone, to know the rights حق الله تبارك وتعالى, to worship Him alone and so on, and to fulfill الحقوق والعباد, the rights of the people. And each individual in our life, they have rights, and these rights we get to know it from the wahy, from the Quran and the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. So it's not just common sense or what people would agree among one another what nice things should we do to one another, but it's still according to the Quran and the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. So we talked about the right of our own selves briefly, and inshallah ta'ala tonight briefly we'll talk about something that is so important that takes maybe many sessions to talk about, because there are so many evidences from the Quran and the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ that mentions these individuals in our life, and that is birrul walidayn, to be kind and righteous to the parents, the father and the mother. First of all, when we talk about al-birr, what is the meaning of birrul walidayn? To be righteous, and birr is righteousness, right? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned the word al-birr in many verses in the Quran, one of which, the comprehensive verse, لَيْسَ الْبِرَّ أَن تُوَلُّوا وُجُوهَكُمْ مِنْ قِبَلِ الْمَشْرِقِ وَالْمَغْرِبِ وَلَكِنَّ الْبِرَّ مَنْ آمَنَ بِاللَّهِ, till the end, which talks about the pillars of al-Iman, pillars of al-Islam, righteousness, goodness to others, and the rights of others, and so on. All of this is al-birr, which is basically the whole religion of Islam. But the word of al-birr, which means, as the ulama, they define it, al-khayr, wal-fadl, the goodness, the virtues, right? These types of good things that a person would make sure that he would do to his parents. And the opposite of that, if a person is not doing the birr, or the righteousness or the goodness towards the parents, is doing the opposite, which is al-uquq. Al-uquq is to be opposite to what is the birr, to do to the parents what is evil, what is not good, and the slightest amount of uquq that makes them upset is a major sin, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned that in the Quran, وَلَا تَقُلْ لَهُمَا أُفٍّ وَلَا تَنْهَرْهُمَا. The uff is the slightest dajar or unease that they would feel from you. This is a major sin. So birrul walidayn is al-ihsan, or to give or do goodness towards them, bil-qalb, wa bil-qawl, wa bil-fi'l. Right? With your heart, with your tongue, with the rest of your body, with physical actions. Like the iman is in these three parts, the same thing with al-ihsan or the birr towards the parents is in these three places. With the heart, with the tongue, with the rest of the body. You do all of this taqarruban lillahi ta'ala, that you're doing that seeking the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not seeking the pleasure of the parents necessarily, but seeking the pleasure of Allah, because this is the order of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and not the order of anyone but Him subhanahu wa ta'ala. And what's the difference between seeking the pleasure of Allah and seeking the pleasure of the parents? Seeking the pleasures of the parents only would not get the person the rewards from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, plus it's deficient. Those who seek the pleasure of the human beings only, once this human being would not treat them well, they would oppose that by treating them also not in a good way. But the one that will treat people always good, the ones that basically as if the one that they're treating them good does not exist really. Why? Because they're focused on the ru'ya or the witness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They're not focused on mushahadat al-khalq. He's not witnessing, or he's not concerned about how the people are seeing his actions. He's not concerned about how his parents are seeing his actions. He's more concerned about how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is witnessing his actions. So whether the parents, they respond with goodness or with evilness, it doesn't matter. It's the same way that he would still act towards them with all means of goodness, And also another benefit, he would not disobey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala because of the parents or because anyone. Why? Because if the parents order the son to commit a sin, right, or to commit kufr, for example, then it's not permissible to obey them. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, وَإِنْ جَاهَدَاكَ عَلَى أَن تُشْرِكَ بِمَا لَيْسَ لَكَ بِهِ عِلْمٌ فَلَا تُطِعْهُمَا وَصَاحِبْهُمَا فِي الدُّنْيَا مَعْرُوفًا. If they order you, جَاهَدَاك, struggle with you, so that you would commit shirk, do not obey them, but still live with them with goodness in this life. And the ma'asiyah, la ta'ata li makhluq fi ma'asiyat al-khaliq. There is no obedience to any of the creation of Allah when it comes to the disobedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Someone like this, the parents ordering him or her to commit a sin, right? If he disobey them, he is being righteous towards them. This is what al-birr is. When he disobey them, when they order him to commit a sin, they will be upset with him. They will think that he is a son or a daughter that is aq, that is disobedient and rebellious against his parents, right? But to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this is what righteousness is. Why? Because if the son or the daughter obeys their parents to commit a sin, the son or the daughter will be subjected to the punishment from Allah and also the parents. So when he disobeys them, he is protecting them from the hellfire. He's protecting them from receiving the anger of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as a result of his actions. So he's basically being so righteous to them. So that means what also? That al-birr is not what we think. Al-birr, to be righteous to the parents, is not what the parents think. To be righteous to the parents is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants from us. It's deen. It's to be only received from the Quran and the Sunnah, and that's why people have extreme views of things. It's not just common sense. That you will find sometimes parents coming and complaining that their son or their daughter, for example, they are committing الحقوق and they're disobeying them. And when you get into some details, because the son has a beard, for example, or because the son is praying in the masjid, or because the daughter, she wants to wear hijab and the mother doesn't want her to wear hijab, something like this. And sometimes they would go to the Sheikh to complain. And the Sheikh is in some, unease like this, right? Because he would praise the son or the daughter, right? And he would tell the mother or the father, this is a blessing, it's a ni'mah from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that your son or daughter is righteous and so on. I remember one father that he was like this with his son, and he kept being after him. The son in Egypt, when it was very tight on those who wants to be righteous and so on, it wasn't too tight, but when it was, people would be scared to have beards and to be in certain masajid. They will interrogate them, take them to prison sometimes and so on. So this father, he was a professor in medical school, someone of status, and his son was in medical school, so he's preparing him to take his position and so on. And all of a sudden his son comes to the masjid and he prays in the masjid and he let his beard grow, and that means he's not going to be, or it's going to be very difficult for him to be a professor in the school, all kinds of things like this. The father came to the masjid and he made like a big fight. Leave my son alone, right? He was a good son. He's praying, he's making his salah. We're all Muslims. Why? This is extremism and this and that. Anyway, the son, after some time, he listened to his father. He loved his father so much, right? So he started, and it came step by step. And what is the step by step is, he went to ask another Sheikh and so on. The Sheikh told him, okay, don't pray in that particular masjid. Obey your father, pray in the masjid next to your home. And it's okay, you still pray Jama'ah. But this was the first step of shaitan. He prayed in a masjid where there is no one to remind him or to give him steadfastness and so on and so on. Step by step, he disappeared, right? And then the beard was shaved, and didn't stop there. He went all the way till he fell into drugs and all kinds of things. This son, when he died, right? The father was so much weeping and regretting because of what he did. But that was too late. And to him was, if he died, for whatever other reason, but not like this. So the regret came, but it wasn't on the time of being regretting. Right? He was the reason for him that his son changed totally, and he would wish that he was extremely extreme. Although there's no extremism or anything, but because of what? Because of the attachment to this world. When I get off the subject, but the point is to be or to observe birr al-walidain is not what the walidain necessarily they want, it's what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants. But with this, the person has to be extremely kind to them. Not to, if they order him to commit a sin, what he's supposed to do, he's supposed to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and please his parents. How can he do this? He needs to figure that out. Don't commit the sin and don't make them upset. What he's going to do, then he's going to do the best he can. If they're still upset with him, then he did what he can. Right? That means he's going to be extremely kind to them and do the things that he never done before, and to be, under their feet and service and all kinds of things, so that they don't think bad of him and they would understand that this is really deen, it's nothing personal or anything like that. So this is a very important point when we talk about birr walidain. The virtues or the verses in the Quran and the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ that talks about this is many. How we see that it's always linked to the tawheed of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the orders from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to be dutiful to Him, and then the first among the human beings to be dutiful towards them are the parents. وَقَضَى رَبُّكَ أَلَّا تَعْبُدُوا إِلَّا إِيَّاهُ وَبِالْوَالِدَيْنِ إِحْسَانًا. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala decree upon you that you worship none but Him, do not commit shirk, and وَبِالْوَالِدَيْنِ إِحْسَانًا, and to be kind and ihsan. This is what the definition of al-birr, and to be kind and to do what is good to the parents. And again, if we get into these hadith, it will take a long time. The best of the deeds after, when it comes towards human beings, it's one of the types of jihad. Sometimes it's better if it's not a must, if it's not a mandatory thing, as the Prophet ﷺ, when he said to this man that he came to the Prophet ﷺ asking for permission to fight for the sake of Allah, the Prophet ﷺ said, أحيي والديك, are your parents alive? He said, نعم, قال ففيهما فجاهد. Then make jihad فيهما, I want to say towards them, right? That means struggle and do the jihad to please them and to be under the service and to be kind to them. And of course, this is not the type where it's mandatory. And many hadith that talks about this. And it's from the pleasure of Allah that the person is pleasing the parents. رضا الرب في رضا الوالد وسخط الرب في سخط الوالد. And this is an authentic hadith quoted by Imam Muslim, that the pleasure of Allah is from the pleasure of the parents. And al-walid is not necessarily the male or the father. Al-walid is the one that gives birth. So it's both. So the pleasure of Allah is from the pleasure of the parents, and the pleasure and the opposite of that. The sakhat or the anger of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is also as a result of the sakhat or the anger of the parents, again as long as there's no sins is involved. It's one of the means to enter Jannah. Al-walidu awsat abwab al-Jannah. Prophet ﷺ said that the parents are the middle gate of Jannah, and رَغِمَ أَنْفُ, when the Prophet ﷺ said his nose is rubbed in the ground, that means he's a loser 3 times. The one that من أدرك والديه عند الكبر أحدهما أو كليهما ثم لم يدخل الجنة. The one that had his parents, both of them or one of them, when they were old, and they were not the reason for him to enter Jannah. That means he's a loser. Why? Because it's something that is so easy for the person to enter Jannah if his parents are old while he's still alive, or they're alive and he can be kind to them when they reach old in age. This is one of the means, the easy means for a person to enter Jannah. That means the person having this ni'mah from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he does not observe it, and he does not enter the Jannah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this is the real loss, because it's something that is so easy. Also, as the Prophet said in the hadith of Muslim, لا يجزي ولد والدا إلا أن يجده مملوكا فيشتريه فيعتقه. There is no son who would fulfill the rights of his parents unless he found them in slavery, right? And he would purchase him or free him. This is the only way. That means the rights of the parents is something that is so much. There's another hadith, there are many hadith, but again because of the time we didn't talk about the rights yet. But this is a very beautiful hadith where the Prophet ﷺ, a man came to him. Actually, this is Abbas of the Ummah. That a man came to him and he said, إني خطبت امرأة فأبت أن تنكحني فخطبها غيري فأحبت أن تنكحها. I tried to be engaged to a woman and she refused to marry me, and another one was engaged to her and she wanted to get married to him. فغرت عليها فقتلتها. He said I was jealous, so I killed her. Right? فهل دي من توبة? This is an authentic. Bukhari rahimahullah mentioned this in Al-Mufrad, and Sheikh and others authenticated it. He said, is there any repentance for me? So he told him, أمك حية? Is your mother alive? He said no. He said, تب إلى الله عز وجل وتقرب إليه ما استطعت. Repent to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and get yourself closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as much as you can. So Ata ibn Yasar, the student of Ibn Abbas, he was watching this. So he went to him and he asked him, لما سألته عن حياة أمي? Why did you ask him about the life of his mother? He said, إني لأعلم عملا أقرب إلى الله تعالى من بر الوالدة. He said, I do not know any deed more closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala than to be righteous to the mother. So there's no more virtuous deed that he can do more than this. That can kind of be the mean for him to repent from this worst sin that can ever be committed after the shirk, and that is to kill someone, right? So it shows the importance of and how the Sahaba radiallahu anhum understood the rights of the parents, especially the mother. And the Prophet ﷺ mentioned that one of the major sins وَبُكَاءُ وَالِدَيْنِ مِنَ الْعُقُوقِ. This is a hadith where the Prophet ﷺ mentioned, it's a sound hadith also from Al-Adab al-Mufrad, and Sheikh Ibrahim authenticated it, that from the destroyers of the sins is when the parents would cry as a result of the disobedience of their son towards them. And a man, when Ibn Umar radiallahu anhu, he mentioned this hadith, he said, the same thing, it was a similar situation where a man committed sins and he went to Umar and he mentioned these sins. And then he mentioned to him the sins or the destroyers of the sins, and one of which is the weeping of the parents as a result of disobeying them. And then Ibn Umar said to him, أحي والديك. The same thing he said, is your parents alive? So he said, عندي أمي, I have my mother, she's still alive. He said, Ibn Umar said, فوالله لو ألنت لها الكلام وأطعمتها الطعام لتدخلن الجنة ما اجتنبت الكبائر. Right? He said to him that, Wallah, right, if you become lenient in speaking to her, that you speak to her in a very lenient way, and you feed her, you will enter Jannah as long as you stay away from the major sins. So this is, again, the same understanding, how they understood that the rights of the parents, and the same thing we can use with others. If somebody commit a sin and so on, we should use the same way, the same concept. Like this is means of expiation of the sins. And one of the rights is that a person should not custom of being obedient to them, not make them upset and so on, and not to curse them or to curse them, of course. This is something that is so obvious. But as the Prophet ﷺ said, that it doesn't have to be a direct way, a person cursing his parents, definitely this is something so obvious, but a person can cause for this to happen if he would curse someone else's parents, and as a result of that, that other person would curse his own parents, as the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, min al-kaba'ir, shatm al-rajul walidayn, that from the major sins that a person would curse his parents. So they said, O Rasulullah, هل يشتم الرجل والديه? This is against the natural or the fitrah of the human being. A man would curse his parents. He said, نعم. يسب أبا الرجل فيسب أباه ويسب أمه فيسب أمه. That a man would curse someone's father, so he would curse his father. And he would curse someone else's mother, so he would curse his mother. He become the reason for his mother or his father to be cursed, which is a major sin. And also one of these fights, again, the issue of being righteous to them is very general.
I didn't get this point.
Like a person is cursing someone, but he would curse his father. You are the son of whatever, right? People curse each other. You are a son of such and such, right? So that person would respond to him, no, it's you the son of such and such. So the person that originally started with the cursing, he already caused for his parents to be cursed. So this is one of the major sins. As if he cursed his parents directly. As if he went to his parents and he said, you are such and such. Right? It's the same thing. Because he was the reason for that time. Now, one of these rights is to be kind to the ones that the parents, they love or they liked or they had relations with them during their life. Right? And this is something that is a right during their life and after they die. And this is the hadith of Ibn Umar radiallahu anhuma, which is such a beautiful incident that has so much benefits in it, that shows how the Sahaba radiallahu anhum, when they understood something from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, it wasn't just knowledge, it was knowledge and actions at the same time. When Abdullah ibn Umar radiallahu anhuma, a man from the Arab, laqiyahu, he met him بطريق Makkah, when he was going to Makkah. فسلم علي عبد الله بن عمر son of عمر بن الخطاب رضي الله عنه, he made salam to him. وحمله على حمار كان يركبه, and he made him ride on a donkey that he was riding. وأعطاه عمامة كانت على رأسه, and he gave him a imama, right, that was on his head. He did all of this to this simple Bedouin. So Abdullah bin Dinar was with him, and he told him, أصلحك الله, may Allah have mercy on you or correct you. It's an expression to be said when a person sees something that he thought that he's not doing, he's doing too much for this. He said, these are the Arab, these are the Bedouins. وَإِنَّهُمْ يَرْضَوْنَ بِالْيَسِيرِ. They are very satisfied with something little. Why would you give him your donkey that, it's value, right? And it's your imama and so on. So Abdullah ibn Umar, he told them that إِنَّ أَبَا هَذَا كَانَ وُدًّا لِعُمَرَ بْنِ الْخَطَّابِ. He said, the father of this man was wuddan, was someone that Umar ibn al-Khattab, his father, loved. His father, not the man, his father. Right? And then he said, وَإِنِّي سَمِعْتُ رَسُولَ اللَّهِ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وسلم, and I heard the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم say, إِنَّ أَبَرَّ الْبِرِّ صِلَةُ الْوَلَدِ أَهْلَ وُدِّ أَبِيهِ. From the best of righteousness towards the parents is for the walad, for the son, to be kind to the ones that his parents used to like or used to love, their friends. Right? And in some narrations, بعد أن يولي, after he would die. So during their life and after they die. This is something that does not end by the death of the parents. So how Ibn Umar radiallahu anhuma, he went along with this and he applied it when he saw this Bedouin. That not the Bedouin was the one that Umar radiallahu anhu knew, it was the father of him. So it's never going to stop them. Whether they are Muslims or non-Muslims, as we said. To be kind to the parents is at all times, right? Whether they are Muslims or non-Muslims, but again without obeying them in anything that is of a sin. Many things, of course. The Prophet ﷺ, to show that the right, that one of the rights is that your wealth is their wealth, right? Where the Prophet ﷺ, a man came to him and he said, Ya Rasulullah, inna li malan wa waladan. I have money and I have children, my sons and so on. Wa inna walidi yahtaju mali. And my father, he wants my money. Right? You understand the question? He has money and he has children, but his father wants his money. So the Prophet ﷺ said, Anta wa maluka li walidik. You and your money is for your father. فإن أولادكم من أطيب كسبكم فكلوا من كسب أولادكم. And your sons are from the best of your earnings, then eat from what your children earns. Understand? The father, what's the best earning of his father? Is his son. He raised him. So this is from the kasb, this is from the earnings of the father. That's why when some of the ulama, they said about reading Quran after a person dies and so on, it's only for the son or the daughter to do this because they're from the earning of the father or the mother, not anyone else. So the Prophet ﷺ mentioned this. And in another version, أَنْتَ وَمَالُكَ لِأَبِيكَ. Right? And this is in Surah Al-Dawood, and it's a sound hadith. Right? So it's not like my children, they have more rights to my money more than my father. No. Only the one case where the ulama, they mentioned, if the father or the mother, they ask for the money, or if you give them the money, they ask for it to give it to your brother, for example, without the rights to do that, to prefer your brother over you, or to, things like this. But it's for them, it's definitely to give them.
If they need it,
if they need it, and if they don't need it, as long as it's not a sin, right? And as long, of course, as does not make the person, loses the rights of what he has, for example. So in that case, if, for example, say they ask for everything that he has, right? For example, right, he should not make them upset, and he should keep what is enough for his family and so on, and as if this is all what he has, but he should not refuse whatsoever and he should not let them be in the position where they ask. He should always make them no need whatsoever to anything. Their dua is mustajab, and that's why it's one of the rights is to make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for them, as the dua also towards the son and the daughter is accepted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Of course, to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for their forgiveness, ربنا اغفر لي ولوالدي وللمؤمنين ويوم يقوم الحساب, especially after they die. To make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to pay their debt after they die, to fulfill their nuzur or their vows, to pay their kafarat or expiations if they have, to fulfill their wasiyah, their will, as long as it's within the 1/3, not more, and as long as it's not haram. To make the siyam al-fard, if they had siyam that they didn't fast of the fard, to make it on their behalf. To be kind to the relatives or the friends that they had, as the Prophet, as we heard that before, to give charity on their behalf. So these are some of the things to be done after their life. But the point of being righteous towards them is basically two things: to do what is good with all what it takes, and it depends difference from one place to the other, for example, and to know and to be concerned what will bring happiness to them, and at the same time you do not cause any harm to them, even the slightest amount of harm, as long as it's something in your capacity. As Imam Ahmad rahimahullah, when a man came to him and he asked him, he told him that his mother was ordering him to divorce his wife, right? And he told him not to divorce his wife, right? But when Umar radiallahu anhu, he ordered his son Abdullah ibn Umar to divorce his wife, right? He obeyed his father. Why? Because his father is Umar. And Umar radiallahu anhu would not order him to do this because of some personal preference, like some people do, right? Jealousy or personal preference or whatever, has to be because of the deen. So that's why the ulama, they say, if the mother or the father, they order the son to divorce his wife, and if the reason is because of religious reasons, right, it's a valid reason, then he should obey them, of course. But if there's no means of fixing the situation, right, they should obey him. But if it's for no religious reason, just because she doesn't like him, right, or something like that, then he should not divorce his wife. But Imam Ahmad told him, do not divorce your wife and obey your mother. Right? How can we solve this mystery? Figure it out. That means you do not divorce her, and do not and obey your mother. That means do not disobey her. Do not make her feel like you are disobeying her. So you would do whatever it takes, right? And one of the things, and many problems happens, especially when people get married, and the issue of the wife and so on. The husband and the wife should be, when they're on their own, right? He should tell his wife that if my mother is present in the scene, I would prefer her definitely over you, right? And when they're alone, then they can get even with each other, right? But not to upset the mother. So it's something that they should figure out, meaning the husband and the wife. So for example, if they are all together and the mother said something mean to the wife, for example, the husband is not going to defend the wife. He's going to be kind to the mother and so on, right? Why? Because they made a deal together that he understands very well, but it's just because to be kind to the mother, right? Or he might be on the side of his mother against his wife, just like this, so that the mother is not upset, right? And then once they're together, they understand that it's just basically like a trick, basically, right? Of course, justice is one thing, but to be kind, so that the mother is never upset. And the same thing for the father. Many things, of course, but we didn't talk about every single detail, but this is a right that we have to observe.
Because there is a difference between the rights of the son and the daughter, especially after marriage. Like the son, he will be more responsible about his parents other than
No, of course. When the daughter is married, the rights of her husband is more, has priority more than the rights of her parents. And there should never be a conflict. And it's out of the righteousness of the husband that he should not be a barrier that would deprive the daughter from being kind to the parents. But of course she has to, observe all rights, but the obedience of the husband comes first. And most of the time when it comes to matters of sins and to protect the religion, then no question about this. The religion comes first, before anything else whatsoever. Even if the parents will be upset, still you have to protect and to make sure that your religion is sound, and do not undermine or compromise any of the religions so that the parents are not upset. You take your children, for example, to your parents, and then make them watch things that you don't approve of. And you know that if you say no, they will be upset. You cannot approve of it. You cannot allow this to happen. You'll be committing sins as a result of it. So you have to be clear and firm, but at the same time, don't make them upset. How can you do this? Do the best you can. Make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, be so kind, get gifts, kiss their feet, whatever you do, right? But as long as you do not allow for any sin to occur, and by this concern, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will bring what is good. And He will make them pleased with you. Why? Because you made the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala comes before anything else.
Sheikh Ibrahim, thank you very much for this informative lecture, which we benefited very much from it. But still, I think that this information has to be given to our young Muslim groups because they are under the influence of their peers and the environment, and they have to know the rights in Islam. So I wish if the school could organize a day for the young Muslim group, and this lecture has to be given to them. Thank you very much.
Actually, it should be more details than this, because there's so many details that I didn't mention. Maybe this is a subject that has to be done. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And actually, the matters of this dunya, the person to be successful in this life, physically in this life, also depends on how he is righteous to the parents. So always when a person he finds things is not working for him, right, he should search what's the reason, even physically, financially, whatever there is. One of the reasons is maybe his parents are not happy with him, they're not pleased with him. Many of those who would leave their countries, for example, and they come here, they leave their mothers back home, right? And if she's not happy with this is a bad sign. If he's under the feet of his mother, right, and poor, and don't have means of provisions and so on, it's better for him than to be away from his mother and having all kinds of wealth and sending it to her and so on. And sometimes, unless of course she's pleased with it, she has no problem with that. Abu Hurairah, how he was dutiful to his mother. Uwais al-Qarnayn, when the Prophet ﷺ praised him, and he had the ability to be a sahabi, to be a companion, to be in a level where he will be mentioned in the Quran that but he did not go to see the Prophet ﷺ during his life because of his mother was alive and he was taking care of her. And because of that, the Prophet ﷺ mentioned his name. And he said that his dua is mustajab, is accepted. So it's not what we think is right and what is wrong. It's something that is so important. And sometimes with this issue of leaving the parents, to choose to leave them when they're alive by itself, with all due respect, is a very sad thing. Unless of course they're pleased, even if they're pleased. But sometimes the mother, because she loves her son, she would say, do whatever you see is good. But inside of her, she doesn't want to upset him. She wishes that he is next to her. She wishes that he is not far away from her. But she does not say that, openly because she doesn't want to upset him. Right? And you can imagine how happy she would if he would leave this dunya and whatever it contains and go sit by his mother and take care of her when she's old in age and to look after her needs. Imagine how much joy she would get, which is something that be the reason for him. This one action can be the reason for him to enter Jannah. Before it's too late and a person will regret this. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala please.